All right, everyone, we're going to get started. So thank you so much for joining today. My name is Jim Crook. I'm Director of Marketing at CTERA, and I'm joined today by Simon Michelson, who is our Chief Architect for North America. Hi, Simon. Thanks for joining us today. How are you?
Thanks for having me. Good, good. Hi, Jim. Yeah.
Great. Awesome to have you with us today, Simon. So on behalf of Simon and me, or on behalf of the entire CTERA team, I should say, Simon and I are really excited to formally introduce the newest addition to the CTERA Edge Filer product line. We call it the CTERA Edge Media Edition. We also more informally call it the CTERA Media Filer. So you might hear us interchange over the course of the next hour or so as we go through these slides. But we're really excited to talk to you about this. We're going to talk through some of the challenges that media and content creative teams are facing today and how we built this solution to solve those challenges. We'll talk about some use cases and get into some of the technical specs as well. If you do have any questions as we go along, we invite you to use the Zoom chat bar, or excuse me, the Zoom Q&A bar on your Zoom window where you can ask questions. We will take questions as we get to the end of the deck. And if we don't get to your question, we'll follow up with you offline, but we'll do our best to get to everybody today, live today. So without further ado, we'll get into it. Many of folks on the line today are familiar with CTERA, but just to refresh and maybe an introduction for those who are newer to what we do. CTERA is a global file services, an edge to cloud global file services leader. And it's our mission to connect remote sites and enterprise users to the cloud of their choice without compromising the security or the performance of their file services and their data. And we say we're a leader, and we can back that up in this area. We've deployed more than 50,000 edge filers around the world in 110 countries. That 50,000 number is by far the industry's number one in this edge filer space, something that we're very proud of. And we're selling into and deploying these filers at some of the world's largest organizations, Fortune 500s, top 5 banks, insurance, media and telecommunication services providers. And you can get a sense of the logos here of the companies that we're working with and that we're proud to call customers. A wide range of verticals from federal government to manufacturing to financial services, and then media and advertising as well, which is really where we're focusing a lot of this presentation on. I should mention as well that this media filer is not just built for the media and advertising teams, but also large enterprises who have media teams and media content creators within them that are dealing with very large files, and we'll talk more about what that means for all of you as we get into this deck. So at a high level, what CTERA offers is a centrally managed global file system that runs on the cloud of choice or multiple clouds of choice in an enterprise. We support a wide variety of on-premises and off-premises cloud service providers like AWS and Azure, as well as object storage from leaders such as Dell EMC, IBM, HPE, and so forth. We offer smart caching edge devices to accelerate access to this global file system. So we have edge filers for branch offices and remote sites around the world. We have CTERA Drive software clients that connect laptops and various endpoints up into this global file system. And then as well, we offer access through APIs and web browsers as well. So no matter what type of users that you have, roaming, external users, clients, branch office users, they can all connect up into this single namespace or global file system. We built this from the ground up with military-grade security in mind. So your CTERA platform is deployed entirely within your firewall, and your files and data are kept within your firewall. And we move data across clouds, across offices, across endpoints using the highest levels of encryption. And then we built in a number of controls into the platform as well, from control over antivirus and DLP and mobile device management. These can all be built into the platform, as well as gaining insights into your data from our analytics and classification tools. So that's a high-level overview of what we do. And I mentioned media and advertising at the top as a critical vertical for CTERA. It's one of the industries that we pay most attention to and that we work with most closely. And we're very fortunate to call many of the leading global media and advertising firms and leaders in this space. We're fortunate to call them customers. And as part of that relationship that we have with these firms is the ability to glean insights into the challenges that they face on a daily basis with regard to their file storage and their file collaboration experiences. And from those conversations, we really drill down into 5 key areas where firms like the ones that you work for today are challenged by. First is the exploding storage costs at both the core data center and at the edge, and it's driven by ultra high definition video, by large multimedia files. As these files and assets get much more rich and dense and large, it's taking up incredible amounts of capacity and causing some significant challenges at both the data center and the edge. These same files are requiring massive throughput for editing these videos and various workflows with these types of files. So network performance and bandwidth and capacity at the edge, all top of mind for these organizations. And you start to think about why more modern pure cloud solutions are not really capable of meeting these challenges because they're not offering that performance that's needed at the edge. So this is something else where CTERA provides some really unique value proposition to media and advertising organizations. We'll talk about that as we get into it. Secure ingestion and distribution of these large files. How can you sync up and distribute and collaborate across all of these files across globally distributed organizations? That's something that CTERA's platform is built to do, and we'll talk about that. Compatibility with macOS and Adobe are really key aspects of this as well. We talked to a number of customers who are just been not satisfied with the interoperability between legacy NAS or storage systems and then modern pure-based cloud solutions, pure cloud-based solutions, that they all struggle with interoperability with these solutions that media and advertising users are really working with every day, which is causing inefficiencies and a lot of unfortunate downtime. So that was a critical aspect of this as well. And then last but not least, business continuity. How do you ensure that your business can recover from any sort of network outage or malware, ransomware, things like that? And how can you ensure compliance with industry regulations and global regulations like GDPR? These are all top of mind for a lot of IT managers today who are working with media content creative teams. And so we're happy to introduce a filer that was built to solve these challenges. We call it the CTERA Edge Media Filer, and we really think it's marrying the best of both worlds between that high local performance that creative teams need with the cloud scale and the global collaboration that IT really desires to offset some of the heavy costs and other challenges that they're experiencing. And so when we think about it from marrying these the best of both worlds here, performance and scale, really when you think about what the CTERA Media Filer delivers. On the performance side, this is a powerful appliance. It's offering 128 terabytes of local cache, that's usable capacity. That is 2 times our previous largest local cache at the edge. So it's something that we built specifically for teams that are dealing with large files and they need this space to work on them and collaborate and edit these large files. That local cache is built on a hybrid mix of SSD and nearline SAS disk drives. We optimized the software protocols, the hardware components of this platform to deliver very high performance, network performance and 15 gigabits per second CIFS and NFS connections. This is an appliance that's ready to render 8K videos and help your users work on some of the most ultra high definition videos and other large assets that they're working on. And then we made a really strong commitment to building compatibility with macOS and Adobe Creative Suite solutions. So all this at the edge, providing the performance and reliability that your users need. And we marry that with the scale that many of you have come to know CTERA by, the unlimited cloud tiering, the ability to automatically tier unused older files from the appliance to the cloud, and the obvious benefit there being creating enough capacity for your current projects. Collaboration across global distributed teams, having the ability to plug edge filers and endpoint and smart endpoint devices up into a global file system and collaborate and share files across globally distributed teams, something that our customers are really looking to do today. The scale in terms of management as well is really important. You've got users, you've got thousands of users, thousands of devices. Sometimes we can scale up. The platform is built to scale up to as many users, as many devices, as many locations as you need. And then it's built to enable multi-cloud. More and more of our customers are looking for multi-cloud enablement to ensure that they're getting optimal cost, total control over where their data resides. Our platform enables you to do that. We'll take you through just a couple of use cases here in terms of really where our customers are seeing value with the CTERA media filer solution. The first is elastic scale. So with a CTERA media filer, you have the ability to essentially remove, replace your legacy traditional NAS device, whatever sort of file storage system you have at the edge, with a modern appliance that enables your users to connect up into an unlimited file share in the global file system. It's accessible as a regular NAS, but with only certain pinnable files locally that you as an IT administrator have the ability to set locally. So users, as the third bullet here mentions, users can guarantee that certain files, and they can pin certain files and folders to be local for guaranteed max performance. This is a critical aspect for a lot of organizations who have templates and other design and other information that they always need locally because they build a lot of their presentations and their projects off of that. So that was a critical aspect of it. Any file change that's made at any location with the CTERA media filer is replicated, synchronized up to the global file system, and then shared across all devices that have access to that global file system. All those changes are source-based, deduplicated, and encrypted. So you're only sending very secure, efficient chunks over the network from the edge to the cloud. As I mentioned before, least frequently used files, they're evicted, sent up to the cloud, and they're replaced with file stubs, which are very lightweight stubs of files that users can see and have access to. If they do want to bring it down from the cloud, they have the ability to click on that and download it to their filer, but without having any sort of storage associated with that locally. And then another thing that we built into the media filer, which is really solving some efficiency issues, is the idea of video streaming. So we talked to a lot of customers who were struggling with cloud-based systems and having files stored in the cloud. If they wanted to determine if they had the right video file that they were choosing from a large number of them, they had to click and download the full file before they could see if they had the right file. And we were dealing with hundreds and thousands of various files. This could be a very inefficient process. So we built in video streaming into the platform, into the filer. You can stream these videos directly from the cloud through the filer, and your users can ascertain if they have the right file or if they need to move on. So video streaming, another important element of this elastic scale use case. So I see some questions coming in. We'll address these toward the end, but do keep them coming if there's anything unclear, and we'll seek to clear that up for you. So another interesting use case within our media and advertising solution really has to do with distributed media services and the totality of the CTERA platform. So we're talking about our newest filer, but we also have smart caching endpoint applications as well, which means that even if I'm not in an office, if I'm roaming, if I'm working from home, or I'm at a remote shoot, I can access the same global file system through my laptop, through my mobile device. So there are a lot of solutions today that either offer the edge filer, or they offer endpoint file services, CTERA is the only platform today to offer a unified solution for all of these devices connecting up into a global file system. And so I mentioned that because when we talk to a lot of our customers as well, there was this idea that they needed continuous multi-site sync between their filers and their endpoints. Not all of their users are in the office all the time. Some are going out to shoot videos, work on projects with clients. They needed a system that enabled any user anywhere to have direct access to their global file system. And so CTERA provides that. Our CTERA Drive for laptops, the CTERA app for your mobile applications, web access for external users. And this means that you can share files easily with clients who want to see progress reports or you're ready to deliver them a final project. They can access it. They can access the global file system securely through a web browser. And as well, the ability for users to directly upload their files, their remote video shoots directly up into the global file system. This is another efficiency gain for organizations who have remote users who are shooting video. They have the ability to instantly upload that using CTERA Drive in the CTERA application into the global file system, where users at the New York office or London or wherever have the ability to pull those down from the cloud and edit them in real time and have a much more efficient solution. Not only does this make things faster, you don't have to wait for users to get back into the branch studio, but you can also ensure that they have the right video file, or you can let them know if a file had been corrupted and they need to reshoot. So there's a lot of productivity and efficiency gains built into a distributed media file services platform, especially when you have the totality of the CTERA platform in terms of endpoint devices, in terms of mobile, in terms of clouds, in terms of filers. In terms of authenticated web access, I mentioned you can share a link, a private link that can be accessed by an external user. You can put two-factor authentication on that, ensure that the right person is accessing the global file system, the right person is accessing the project. And again, this is a great way to share files quickly to end users who are requesting these projects, and something that we worked very closely with our customers like WPP and JWT, who have a number of these projects that they're working on at all times. Then from a data protection standpoint, it's top of mind, I'm sure, for most people on this call. How do you provide a layer of resiliency? How are you protected in the event of network outages or a ransomware attack? Unfortunately, these sort of things are cropping up more and more. And so with the CTERA Media Filer offers a built-in backup and archiving by having local files synced and replicated to the cloud. You can have access to your backup files. You have the ability for your users to actually very easily restore any previous versions that they've worked on using our user self-restore solutions for backup. As well, they have the ability to see, as an IT ministry, you have the ability to see locally your archive, but again, only having those stubs while the main storage sits in the global file system on the cloud. We offer the choice of any public or private cloud and any hybrid or multi-cloud approach that you want to take. So a lot of organizations like to keep certain files locally, like to move certain files to the cloud. They like to move certain files to multiple clouds. You have the ability to do that, and it's becoming more and more of a request from our customers today. We have built-in antivirus scanning at the file level and in the cloud. So if any file comes into the Edge filer, if it's infected, it can be quarantined and not spread to the rest of the organization. And from a DR perspective, I'll note that we offer two different layers of DR. One is a cloud DR, which is fairly unique to CTERA, in which we can automatically fail over users from the filer, and there's in the event of some sort of appliance outage, you can fail over users directly to the global file system. They still have access to all their files, and it's available to them through their local K drive, J drive, whatever you're using. There's just a little bit more latency due to going over the WAN. but it's still the same user experience other than that. As well, from a local DR standpoint, you have the ability to, in the event of an appliance outage, you stand up another media filer, connect that up into the global file system, automatically have your metadata brought down from the global file system, and your pin files and your pin folders automatically downloaded into that. So really reducing the time typical of an appliance outage. So you have the ability to fail over in a number of ways. So in terms of what the media and analyst communities are saying, we've had the pleasure to speak with really a lot of reporters and analysts in the past month or so, and the message was really resonating with them about why media and advertising firms and content creative teams need a solution like this. Chris Meller at Blocks and Files describes it as an all-in-one box that can just essentially give you a reason to toss your existing NAS system. And Computer Weekly, Anthony Adshed had the same sort of response, and talking about how this solution is a response to the needs of the media processing and advertising customers that are working with very large files. And then Stuart Switzerland as well, another example of an analyst who agrees with Chris Meller's assessment as a high performance on-prem NAS with cloud data management capabilities. You can retire the file server if you so choose with this CTERA Media Filer. So at this point, I'd like to hand it over to Simon, our chief architect, who can take you through some of the technical aspects, as well as we'll start to get into technical questions and other questions you have about the solution. So Simon, I'll hand it over to you.
Okay, thanks, Jim. So yes, I'll take you through the technical specifications of this media edition of our product. First and foremost, and what's unique about this product offering comparing to the rest of the capabilities enabled by our platform, is that this media edition comes with 128 terabytes of net usable storage for local cache. The purpose and the reason the cache is that large is to be able to address those media content files, images, assets, that rich content for 8K videos, so on and so forth. They're typically large, and editors, creative users need that local high performance access to those data sets so they can work on them with their Adobe Premiere applications, Photoshop, so on and so forth. So you really have a lot of local capacity from a cache standpoint, and of course, as the data ages over time, it will be automatically tiered and be kept according to your retention period up in the cloud. Now, this media edition comes with 2 tiers of storage. Behind the scenes, it's combining both 24 flash solid-state drives and also 48 nearline SAS drives. This allows to provide a good combination between performance as well as capacity. But from a user standpoint, or from a functionality standpoint, this is all seamless tiering that occurs behind the scenes, managed by CTERA. So effectively, you have a flash tier, you have a nearline SAS tier, and of course, there's the cloud as your third tier for recovery purposes. The protection we apply is called distributed RAID. So effectively, the raw capacity is a little bit over 200 terabytes, but after after the parity and the overhead with RAID, that's reduced to 128 net usable. Also, this media edition comes with 2 SAS controllers. From an I/O standpoint, you have seamless failover in case one of the controllers fail. So as another protection measure in case there's any kind of outage with the unit itself, we can continue operation. From a networking standpoint, there are 2 10 gig connections to connect to your networks. This could be either fiber or copper, depending on your current switches, and dual power supply, just in case of power outages and power failure, so on and so forth. But of course, on top of that, you get all the capabilities, all the suite of capabilities delivered by CTERA in our product. The versioning control, the end-to-end security and encryption from the device itself, the volume, all the way up to as the data resides in your cloud of choice, whether it be your private cloud on-premise or in a public cloud like Amazon Web Services, Microsoft Azure, and so on. And of course, the mobility aspect of our solution, being able to access the data on the go through a web client, through a mobile application, or even through a software application, what we call our Drive agent, Drive app installed on a user's laptop. So this marries the NAS capabilities for media content, as well as with the ability to access data remotely on the go. Jim, you can advance to the next slide.
Sure.
Yep. And this is our family picture, and just to show the audience of where this product is positioned comparing to the rest of the different devices that we have to offer. So of course we have our edge devices at the top, starting from our virtual edition. They vary in size, starting from 16 terabytes all the way up to 128. They vary in the amount of users and local capacity that can be allocated to them. And then for small offices, for a handful of users, we have a tower version of the product, the HC400T, with about 4 terabytes of data and up to 100 users. Then moving forward, we have our 1U and 2U appliances, the HC400 and the 1200s, scaling up to 3,000 users. And then the Media Edition, a 6U appliance with 128 terabytes of local cache capacity, combining both solid state and nearline SAS to be able to support the workloads of those creative editors and media content. And last but not least, our hyper-converged edition for mission critical applications and critical office data for those sites that need to scale up to thousands of users, up to 5,000, but also have the ability of having another failover point, a local disaster recovery option. So in case one of the controllers failed, you can always fail over to the secondary device before having to fail over to the copy that resides in the cloud. That's delivered by an HCI solution underlying the CTERA software. But then at the bottom, we have our Drive application, Drive Share, Drive Connect, and Protect. This is a software application that could be installed on Windows, Linux, or MacBooks, either server or desktop platforms that enable the real-time synchronization and caching of data sets on a user's laptop. We have this capability also integrated with our Drive Protect for taking periodic backups to protect against ransomware, effectively a ransomware remediation tool. In the event crypto locker gets a hold of your data, you can always revert back to a previous point in time with CTERA and recover your users' data sets. Okay.
Great.
And then from a use case standpoint or a case study, this is one of CTERA's media and entertainment clients. The WBP is one of the largest media conglomerates, a public ad agency. They spoke for us at the recent IBM conference, and you can hear more about their challenges and how CTERA was able to address them. But at a very high level, the goal was they have a lot of creative users, users that are working with MacBooks that require access to an on-premise storage system that will provide the performance they need to edit their media content, and at around hundreds of and thousands of locations around the globe. Very highly distributed from a topology standpoint, and those users reside everywhere around the world. So the combining the ability of both on-premise storage and bandwidth, coupled with cloud for archiving purposes, is a great fit, because it first and foremost meets the capacity and performance requirements, but also at the same time meets the data retention and data protection requirements, leveraging cloud as storage, and CTERA as the data management solution, and also addressing the security aspect of how the files are stored. From a benefit standpoint, the CTERA solution is designed and geared to address the Mac users, providing integrations with Spotlight for being able to index and search content quickly through the native capabilities provided by the Mac system, and of course the built-in business continuity, BC, and disaster recovery. In the event that those file shares become unavailable, there's always a highly available target, a read-write target that resides either in a data center or up in a cloud. And then lastly, from a collaboration standpoint, all that content is accessible through a web interface and could be shared with your external third parties, contractors, projects, through links or what we call collaboration shares for those third parties to gain access to the system, of course in a very secure fashion, highly controlled with policies defined by the company. So today we have WPP has about 130,000 employees with about 250 operating companies, and each of those operating companies have global presence with sites around the world that require that high performance access with the seamless tiering and archiving of those data sets to the cloud. I'll stop here and I'll hand it over back to you, Jim, and I think we're going to take some questions, right?
That's right. Thanks a lot, Simon. That's great. So we do have some questions coming in through the Q&A and the chat box. So do get those in the next couple of minutes here as we start to wrap up. But I just wanted to also mention that all attendees today are going to get a recording of this webinar, so you can review it as you see fit. You can reach out to Simon and me if you have any questions as well. But in addition to the webinar recording, we'll also be sending you a few goodies in terms of a solution brief and a couple of analyst reports that have recently, analysts from Evaluator Group and Storage Switzerland, who have recently dived in to the media filer and put together some reports that you can download and review as you have time. So I'm going to start going through these questions here, Simon, and I'll ask for your help. So let's get to it. So just a general question about stubbing from Tony for you, Simon. Can you customize the size of the stub, and is it evident to the end user that the file has been evicted?
Okay, yeah. So the size of the stub is quite standard. It's actually the page size of the operating system. By default, it's about 4K as the minimum allocation for that stub. Now, from a user standpoint, as you log in and you browse file shares on CTERA, you will see a gray X mark that indicates that file is a stub. So it's not locally available to on the storage array, but if the user will double click it, it will be downloaded from the portal, from the cloud, and then served to that user. Now, when that happens, that gray indication, the gray overlay on that file will go away. That will indicate that file resides locally on that storage array. So when that file is evicted from the cache and held in the cloud again, that gray X mark will appear again, indicating that, again, that file is not locally cached, but it is available to you in case you need it. Thanks, Simon. Okay.
So we had we mentioned, pure cloud-based solutions as something that media companies look at as well. So we've got a question from Suresh in terms of how is it different? How is this solution different from the box service? So maybe Simon, you could touch on the performance issues and security differentiation that CTERA offers in that regard.
Okay, absolutely. So Box is focused on user file sharing abilities, and specifically when you look at media content, and as Jim stated at the beginning of this webinar, the data set tends to be very large, and the performance requirements for accessing those data sets is also a very stringent. When you need to encode videos or compile them or render them in a certain way, it's typically a very IO intensive operation that requires has a lot of strain on both the network part and also the storage array. So the size constraint of the local capacity of an individual's laptop, coupled with the performance constraint, led us to introduce this product offering, and why the media edition or filer is necessary to be able to do that to do that job for the user. Okay.
Great, thanks, Simon. We're getting a lot of questions about our Mac OS and our Adobe compatibility that we built into the media filer. Could you take, Simon, could you take us through maybe the high points of that, and then explain the differences between this media filer and some of the other CTERA Edge filers in terms of the Mac OS compatibility?
Okay. Yeah. So from Mac OS standpoint, the solution was designed to integrate first and foremost streaming capabilities. So typically caching solutions were designed to download the full file. And what we've noticed dealing with those large video files or large images, or even Photoshop projects where you need to take a look at a certain asset. So the ability to stream a portion of that content to determine if this is the project you need or the asset that you need becomes very valuable to the user. Imagine having to wait tens of minutes for a couple of terabytes to come down from the cloud, right? This could really impact user experience. So we've integrated with Mac Quick Look and the Mac QuickTime for users to be able to stream a portion of that video. So I can take a look at the first few seconds. I can scroll onto the middle of the video and also towards the end. So I can only grab that part that I'm interested in. So that really helped to improve user experience, yet at the same time, get all the features and benefits you would get from a caching solutions as it relates to the storage efficiency and the performance. But then next, we've went ahead and introduced an integration with Spotlight to essentially index the content. So from a user standpoint, we hit the command spacebar and we want to write a certain expression, and we expect that for all the results to come up. Now that's quite simple when the files reside locally to the user. But in a caching scenario, the files could be stored in your private data center or in the cloud because they appear as stubs. So we've integrated the ability to index those cached files or stub files, so users are still able to search them and do those lookups. And then lastly, from a performance standpoint, we are going to add the ability to directly access and write to storage buckets that are the closest to you. So object storage is globally available in multiple countries, but also within certain regions within a country. In some scenarios, uploading data from one side of the country to the other one could take a while because of latency and bandwidth constraints. So really benefiting from the locality of the storage, we can expedite the transfer by a lot. So that's coming soon, and you will see the CTERA gateways being able to write to their to a storage target that is locally available to them. Okay, and
Great.
back to you, Jim. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Simon.
Yeah.
And so all those capabilities that you just mentioned, Simon, they're really today built into the media filer, so other edge filers in the product family do not have those performance capabilities, large capacity, and some of the other things you just mentioned. Is that a fair assessment then?
We went ahead and introduced from a software standpoint, we've integrated those capabilities to our entire software stack, and that applies to all the different gateways we have available. That said, the media edition of our product differs in a sense that it's able to provide the local capacity required by those media and entertainment companies. And also from a performance standpoint, it's able to address better those creative users that are using applications such as Adobe to encode the videos or render them. It's able to provide a higher sequential or random performance.
Yeah,
that's it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great answer. That's a question that we had from quite a few folks in terms of rolling out these capabilities across the product line. So that's great to know. Thank you, Simon. A couple more questions, Simon. In terms of antivirus that we're supporting on the local appliance, who is the antivirus provider, and then what types of SSDs are we using in these appliances as well?
Okay. The antivirus is McAfee, a protection engine, and that's going to be integrated, needless to say, with ePolicy for upgrades and signature updates and so on and so forth. From a solid state standpoint, these are, I mentioned that the Media Edition includes 24 drives with 960 gigs each. That's the raw capacity. Of course, there's overhead and protection done by the distributed RAID function. As for the specific model, we can of course follow up and provide more information in the solution sheet of that product.
Sure, we will do that. Okay, I think we've answered the questions that we got in through the chat and through the Q&A box. So thank you everybody for asking those questions, and we'll follow up offline with you as well on anything that's outstanding in your mind. So we're going to wrap up at this point. I want to thank you, Simon, for joining today. It's always fun to introduce with you a new product to the world, and we're excited about this CTERA Edge Media Edition. So thanks a lot, Simon, for joining today.
Same here again. Thanks, Jim. Thanks for having me.
And thank you everyone who joined. And as we said, we'll be following up with an email with some content goodies for you to peruse. If you have any questions other than that, we invite you to reach out to either Simon or me. And you can always go to CTERA.com, our landing page there, Edge Media Edition, for all the latest information that we have around this new media filer. So on behalf of Simon, on behalf of the entire CTERA team, very excited to bring this to you today. Thank you for joining, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.